There we go. My monitor just crashed. The Chrome on it just crashed. And I was playing around and I clicked on the Instagram and it said it was just enabled and that it's sending the data. So I wonder if it will just work now instead of like having to maintain it like I did before. Oh no, now it's doing the thing where it's giving me two Amy's because the other page crashed instead of refreshing.
There's something here.
Let me know when she disappears for you. Or if you can even remove her. There.
President Trump and his national security team are reportedly skeptical of Iran's proposal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for tabling nuclear talks. U.S. officials say President Trump expressed doubts Monday that Iran was acting in good faith. Iran has so far refused Trump's key demand that it end all nuclear enrichment and formally renounce nuclear weapons. In his latest post on Truth Social, Trump threatened Iran to, quote, better get smart soon, unquote. Earlier on Tuesday, Trump posted, quote, Iran has just informed us that they're in a state of collapse. They want us to open the Hormuz Strait as soon as possible as they try to figure out their leadership situation, which I believe they will be able to do, unquote. This is Brigadier General Mohammad Akraminia, a spokesperson for the Iranian army.
Regarding the current situation, we have not considered the war to be over. From the day the fighting stopped, and, in effect, a ceasefire or silence took place on the battlefield. Since there is no trust in the United States and our enemies, we have continued in the same way as during the war, making serious efforts to update our list of targets.
In southern Lebanon, Israel's killed at least 7 people on Tuesday, including emergency workers. It comes as the United Nations reports. Since the start of the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, Iranian authorities have executed 21 people and arrested 4,000. Meanwhile, the U.S. Treasury Department issued a new round of sanctions Tuesday, targeting Iran's banking network and Chinese purchases of Iranian oil. Oil prices continue to rise, with Brent crude reaching $112 a barrel. It comes as the United Arab Emirates announced Tuesday it's withdrawing from OPEC after nearly 60 years of membership. The UAE is the third largest oil producer in OPEC, behind Saudi Arabia and Iraq. Meanwhile, an NBC News analysis found that bets on prediction markets wagering on the war's outcome have now surpassed $2 billion. A federal grand jury has again indicted former FBI Director James Comey, this time over his social media post showing seashells arranged on a beach to read 8647. The 2-count indictment claims the image was a death threat against President Trump.
Wait.
Both counts carry a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison.
This is still a thing?
The new indictment comes less than a month after Trump dismissed Attorney General Pam Bondi, whom he complained was not aggressive enough in executing his agenda. A previous Justice Department case against Comey was dismissed last year when a federal judge found the prosecutor who secured the indictment had been unlawfully appointed. Comey's second indictment came the same day as his daughter Maureen Comey won a court ruling allowing her to proceed with a lawsuit against the government. Maureen Comey was fired as a federal prosecutor in Manhattan last year. She was the lead federal prosecutor securing the conviction against Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. James Comey responded to his latest indictment in a video posted to Substack on Tuesday.
I'm still innocent. I'm still not afraid. And I still believe in the independent federal judiciary. So let's go.
The Federal Communications Commission announced Tuesday it's accelerating the review of 8 local broadcasting licenses used by ABC. The agency cited an investigation into whether Disney's diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, DEI, constitute unlawful discrimination. The move came one day after President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump publicly demanded ABC fire late-night host Jimmy Kimmel over a joke he made about the First Lady days before the White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting. Democratic FCC Commissioner Ana Gomez.
So they're trying to say that comedy caused this assassination? How long ago would the shooter have been planning this? Like, I know, like, we know how many days he checked in ahead, right? Mm. But when did he book that train ticket? Did he book his hotel room in advance? It would be pretty quick to figure out if this was a thing. Does anyone care?
Guess not.
Said, quote, "This is an unprecedented and politically motivated attempt to interfere with how broadcasters operate, and this unlawful overreach will fail," unquote. The Trump administration's fired all 22 members of the National Science Board, which is the policy and advisory arm of the National Science Foundation. Democratic Congressmember Zoe Lofgren of the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology said, quote, "This is the latest stupid move made by a president who continues to harm science and American innovation. Will the president fill the NSB with MAGA loyalists who won't stand up to him as he hands over our leadership in science to our adversaries?" she asked. Last year, the Trump administration targeted the NSF for sweeping cuts under Elon Musk's now defunct Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, halting more than 1,600 NSF grants worth nearly $1 billion. King Charles addressed a joint session of Congress Tuesday. He's only the second British monarch to do so. He reaffirmed what he called the enduring bond between the United States and the United Kingdom and praised NATO while urging continued support for Ukraine.
In the immediate aftermath of 9/11, when NATO invoked Article 5 for the first time and the United Nations Security Council was united in the face of terror, we answered the call together, as our people have done so for more than a century, shoulder to shoulder through 2 world wars, the Cold War, Afghanistan, and moments that have defined our shared security. Today, Mr. Speaker, that same unyielding resolve is needed for the defense of Ukraine and her most courageous people.
King Charles avoided any mention of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse, despite a direct request from Democratic Congressmember Ro Khanna, who said the British ambassador to the U.S., Christian Turner, had privately told him the king would acknowledge them. King Charles' visit was overshadowed by leaked audio of Ambassador Turner telling a group of British students back in February that the only country that has a special relationship with the United States is Israel. An Israeli court has extended the detention of Dr. Hussam Abu Safia, director of the Kamal Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza, again without filing any charges against him. According to Physicians for Human Rights, Dr. Abu Safia is currently held in Negev prison under harsh conditions and is being denied his medication and medical treatment despite a detention.
Walk in my kitchen, right? Water all over the floor. All right. And, you know, it's one of those things where you're like, oh God, I already know what happened, right? So, like, I'm soaking a chinchilla dust bath to try and clean out all the gunk in it. And it has a hole in it, so it drained. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, pipe under the sink is loose. It's not just loose. It has been, you know how there's the screw like outside like ring that tightens it?
Mm-hmm.
That was completely de-threaded. So the pipe is like literally separated.
Okay.
There's nothing holding it together.
It sounds fun.
So my mom was here yesterday and she helped me clean. So I want to see if she may have, because the sink probably was draining slow. So I want to see if she touched it. I'll play the video in a second. This is just an important text.
Deterioration in his health. Dr. Abu Safia was detained at gunpoint back in 2024 when Israeli forces raided Kamal Adwan Hospital. He had continued working at the hospital even after his son was killed in an Israeli airstrike. UN special rapporteurs have called for Dr. Abu Safia's immediate release, saying they had received reports he has endured severe torture. The Trump administration's issued a new visa restrictions ordering U.S. embassies and consulates to reject applications of foreign nationals who may intend to seek asylum in the United States. The Washington Post reports U.S. officials will be required to question applicants on whether they fear harm and persecution in their home countries. The State Department cable adds, quote, visa applicants must respond verbally with a no for the consular office to continue with visa issuance, unquote. The new rules come after a federal appeals court ruled Trump's claims of an invasion in order to shut down asylum requests at the U.S.-Mexico border is unlawful. The ICE agent who shot and killed...
But it just turned off my monitors. Sometimes when you update drivers, you got to reset, you know? I was like, whoa, you reset without telling me? All right. I love up-to-date drivers. Civ wasn't working because it was asking for a driver update. And it just finished.
Renee Good in Minneapolis is back on duty and has been transferred to a different state, so far facing no consequences after he fatally shot Good in broad daylight back in January. That's according to the Daily Beast.
I was thinking about this. You can hear me, right? Because I'm not moving on my screen.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So, like, you know how the misogynist always talk about, like, how, like, lady cops are? Like, they're going to shoot you. Like, if it's a lady cop, you're in trouble because they're going to pull their gun. I love this rhetoric from misogynists because, they refuse to acknowledge any police killing except by
For
women.
Good point.
You know, and I was thinking about this with Renee Good, because one of the people I know push this rhetoric a lot is Kyle, FPS Russia.
Yeah.
He talks about lady cops being
Yes.
dangerous so much. And I was just thinking about the dynamic and how funny it is that misogynists have to find a scenario where women are a threat to them. And that's the thing that they decide to focus on, like the one scenario where a woman could have power over them and harm them. That's what they're afraid of. But
It's pretty valid analysis.
you know how those guys, I was like not surprised that their fascist take was like it was a justified shooting. I want to know how different their attitudes would be if it was a woman who shot her.
That would be interesting.
I want to know how different these misogynists would be about it. If they would default to the women cops being dangerous and always shooting people rhetoric, or if it was justified.
Yeah.
Because they're so misogynist, it matters what gender kills people to them.
Well, they're obsessed. They're, what do they call them?
Misogynist.
Essentialist. No, it's not essentialist. It's the social Darwinism thing. What are those people called? Rather than constructivist? The opposite? I guess they're gender essentialists. There's only one or two. It's only A or B. Can't possibly have my mind expand to the possibility of having other things that exist in a world that is not black and white. Oh no. Goodbye.
Uh-oh.
That seems good.
That doesn't seem right.
Do you think the Cars universe went through a civil rights crisis? Nope, still green.
I'm going to unplug my camera and plug it back in. Driver update, you know?
Yeah.
Oh no. Alright. Looks like I'll have to restart my shit.
Okay. I will do something.
Which reports Jonathan Ross is back at work with ICE while the Trump administration continues to sabotage an investigation into Good's killing. At least 6 senior Justice Department officials quit over the mishandling of the case, as well as an FBI official in Minneapolis who was forced to end an investigation into Ross. In more related news, the state of Arizona sued the Trump administration, seeking to block plans by DHS to turn a warehouse in the city of Surprise into an ICE jail. The warehouse is
Great.
located across the street from a hazardous chemical storage.
Did you hear them talking about how it's going to be renamed National Immigrations and Custom Enforcement? So it's
Oh,
good.
that's
So
awful.
get it? Because then people are going to have to say it's nice agents.
Yeah, that's cringe.
Somebody
That's pretty
made
much
a
exactly. It's pretty much exactly how I'd expect
somebody made a
fascists to
joke,
operate.
like it was like comparing it to something that's literally from a movie, and I don't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something, like there was some, maybe it will come to me, but there is something where that happened
Mm.
in a movie or something similar to that.
Interesting.
Facility. Democratic Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays filed the federal lawsuit Friday, joining growing opposition nationwide to Trump's expansion of immigrant detention. ICE is also planning to open another jail in Louisiana to
But did they ask if the cringe fucking masked psychos who wear skulls on their faces are gonna like that their vest says nice agent, or is that gonna be too effeminate and gay for them?
They should make it rainbows. Make sure they
detain
have
immigrant children and their families
ally
at a former
stickers
military
all over
base
themselves.
and one of the nation's most PFAS contaminated sites. PFAS are known as forever chemicals linked to cancer and other health risks.
Death.
Meanwhile, a Maryland federal judge temporarily blocked plans to repurpose a warehouse into an ICE detention center as the Trump administration failed to conduct an environmental impact review. The decision could significantly delay Trump's efforts at detaining immigrants at warehouses across the United States. In South Africa, human rights groups are raising alarm as vigilante violence against African immigrants continues across the country. Immigrants say they're living in constant fear, reporting assaults, violent harassment on the streets, and disruptions to their businesses by xenophobic groups. They're mounting calls for the South African government to address the rising threats against immigrants following the reported killing of 2 nationals from Nigeria. And there are heightened security concerns in Colombia after a series of attacks ahead of next month's presidential election. Armed groups have launched over 24 drone and explosive attacks since Friday, including a deadly bombing on a highway near Cali, which killed at least 21 people. This is Colombian leftist presidential candidate Iván Cepeda.
Es evidente que los autores de estos actos terroristas.
It is clear that those behind these terrorist acts are seeking to benefit. Let us say it plainly, the political project of the far right.
And those
Nice.
are some of the headlines.
Is
This
that
is
Spain again?
Democracy Now! Democracy.
Spain's been going hard.
Colombia.
Colombia, was it?
Cepeda.
Es evidente que los autores de estos actos terroristas.
It is clear that those behind these terrorist acts are seeking to benefit. Let us say it plainly, the political project of the far right.
And those are some of the headlines.
Speaking of terrorists, the Sahel conflict has pretty much been won by Al-Qaeda.
I saw that. It's funny because I asked Ace, hey, what's going on in AES with JNIM and shit? And he's like, they're making moves, and then a week later I see some shit about Mali losing hard. Russians retreating. A bunch of stuff, but JNIM seems
Can
to
you
be
send him a
fucking their
message
shit
and
up.
ask him if he would do a special like we did for Sudan? I know he's hesitant because he's in a new job and stuff. Because if he doesn't want to, we can have Analytica Camillus come
Mhm.
on, but it's always a pain to plan around him.
Yeah.
you know, and then there's other people like this person we may interview this weekend. I'm waiting for a reply from the time card I sent them, which I guess I should tell you with the time card I sent them as well, huh? So you know the times.
Sure.
Okay, so I sent her two, and I said either of these times any day. So for you, it would be 10:15
Yeah.
or 5 p.m.
What was the first one?
10:15 p.m., 5 p.m. So those are the two options I sent her because those lined up pretty well.
Yeah. Both
So
of those will work.
yeah, I tried to be as accommodating as possible. The one
What day?
she hasn't said yet, but it would be the weekend, so either Sunday or Monday for you.
Yeah, okay.
But I sent her a thing. The one that's 10 a.m., which would be a morning time for her, is 3 a.m. for me, which isn't terrible. Honestly, the 8:15 a.m. for me, which would be a 3 p.m. for her, is worse.
Should be fun.
A long piece in the New York Times Magazine about our Department of Homeland Security. I recommend you read it. Here's what the reporting found. When Joe Biden left office, there were 40,000 immigrants in detention. A year later, that number had grown.
This guy seems like he would be a better president than Joe Biden already. He seems way more put together, you know what I mean?
He does.
To 73,000. The White House insists that they're only going after the worst of the worst. A spokeswoman quoted in this article said, and I quote, President Trump's highest priority has always been the deportation of illegal criminals who endanger.
So this video is called American Apartheid. So do you think his shirt or his hat is Make American Apartheid Dead Again? What do you think it stands for?
Maybe. That's a good guess.
American communities. Well, now that sounds reassuring, except the government's own records tell a very different story. Only 5% of the people booked into ICE custody have been convicted of a violent crime. 5%. Then, here's where the numbers get truly alarming. The number of people detained with violent convictions has increased by 37% under Trump. But the number of arrests of people with no conviction of any kind, none, has increased by 770%. And that is according to ICE's own data. It's a good bet that the vast majority of these detainees are black or brown folks that the ICE goons just picked up because they could. No warrant, no due process. In many cases, not even a phone call to tell your worried relatives where you were and what was happening to you. A DHS attorney cut right to the chase. He said, and I quote, the ultimate goal of this administration is nothing less than deporting every immigrant it possibly can by the end of the term while shutting down incoming legal immigration other than rich people and white South Africans.
Love a white South African.
This isn't about public safety. This is about ethnic cleansing dressed up in the language of law enforcement. Trump is following the roadmap laid out for him in Project 2025. The goal is to transform America into our very own apartheid, white Christian, nationalist system of government. If you're black or brown or not a Christian, you are a second-class citizen, unless, of course, you're rich. There's always room for someone who is rich. If you're rich, your color can be overlooked. Just pay a little tribute to the party and you are golden. As I wrote these words, I had to stop myself because it felt like I was writing something out of a dystopian novel, something from Orwell or Sinclair Lewis. But this is not fiction, and it is also not hyperbole. This is where we're headed right now, unless we stop the Trump train in its tracks.
This guy seems to know it's up.
The good news is we can do that this November. Congress is a co-equal branch.
Solution is voting. Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, I mean, all of this is pretty obvious, but, not enough people are just saying what he's saying.
That's true. They're not on mainstream anyway.
No.
Random question. Go back to Mali. I heard somewhere that the Tuareg lands were given to Mali, just handed to them, and that's where the conflict comes from.
Could be. I'm not a historian, so I just know that I don't need to know. It's like Palestine. I don't need a history lesson to tell you that the situation's fucked up.
Yeah.
But there's a joke that I reposted because technically Ukraine has helped facilitate an Al-Qaeda operation because they're working in coalition with the Tuareg rebellion, which is great because if it follows the Syria model, then wiping out ISIS and making it more of an Al-Qaeda and ethnic backed type takeover would be beneficial, unless Jelani secretly is planning and going to unite the caliphate when they get these Al-Qaeda revolutions done.
Yeah. So it just says here, Azawad, a region in northern Mali, was not formally given to Mali during independence. It was incorporated into the new nation by departing French colonial administration. So it's literally Euro dipshits drawing lines, which creates ethnic conflict.
I mean, that's pretty much what happens with most of the conflict.
Yep.
But even then, the Tuareg oppression isn't just something that's exclusive to Mali. Which is why Gaddafi backed them.
Yes.
Because it was a ethnic group that could help him fucking kill his ops.
Yes.
But anyway, they saw this joke where it's Zelensky and he's got the kind of like a Talib style turban head wrap, or even because there's the RSF, you know how their head wraps are, that they go all the way down their chin. It's kind of like that without the chin, and then he's got like the chin beard with no mustache, and the meme just says the ethnic cleansing of Tuaregs will stop.
Well, it's funny because it's not even just the Tuaregs either. It's what's the other group?
I don't remember.
The Fula. The Fulani, who are another ethnic group, which
oh, you know why? In my head, I was saying Fulani, but I was going, no, that's Ethiopia. No, that's Fano.
Yes, it is Fano. But like the JNIM, the Fulani, very interesting group, but from what it seems, the Fulani are being supported by Ukraine because Russia is there trading gold for ethnic cleansing. That's, I think, what we got to.
The Russians, they literally had to make a deal with these militia to pull out. So Russia's gone, basically.
Even Africa Corps as well?
No, that's what the deal was, is Africa Corps to leave. I don't know if it's pulling out of the immediate region or they're completely like abandoning the operation. But where are their successes? Like, what does Russia have to gain dumping more resources into holding them? What does Russia lose if this empire falls to Al-Qaeda?
Nothing. They're there purely for gold, the same reason they're in Sudan.
Exactly. Like,
and
it's not
Rwanda.
even a huge loss in the imperialism for Russia.
Like, it's just fucking taken another L from Ukraine. It's essentially all this is. It's just Ukraine expanding Russia's war on them to places where Russia's imperialism is. Like, and I'm being facetious here, but like, is this not anti-imperialist action? Is this not active anti-imperialism? Because like it's funny talking about it like
Hold on,
this
I gotta
because
refresh again.
we don't know how Ukraine is going to act after this war is over. Ukraine could, for all we know, turn into a super tyrant state with American military equipment and war experience.
There's a lot of people with red flags in their name that says it already is a tyrant state. Please ensure you have all the necessary permission and try again. Motherfucker, I own this account. I have the permission. Why can't I share my shit? Where are my settings?
Settings, where are they?
Because the settings haven't fucking changed. Where do I find fucking driver updates, bro?
Every time I update my soundboard, it erases the sound bites.
Uh-huh.
It's very annoying.
I don't even know where I would find this. Can I share tabs?
Should be able to.
Yep, I can share tabs.
Man. That's great. She fucking... You deserve this! Fucking... I'm playing, a solo...
You can join this
like
game.
Yeah, I'm just sort of doing a couple turns on this one, waiting for us to get established. But got to the apocalypse mode again, polluted enough to trigger apocalypses. A magnetic storm just wiped out all my fucking science, which is great. But the biggest polluter, funnily enough, were the Mayans. And she's lost 2 cities to comets. You fucking deserve that. Sadly, I had successfully converted the entire island to crabs. They worship crabs. My religion is called crabs, man. Crabs. That's great. I don't fucking know.
Branch of government, or it is supposed to be, and we have a real chance to turn both houses of Congress blue and start fighting our way back from the damage Trump has already done to this country. Don't forget to join our 99-cent project by joining my channel. We need you in this fight for democracy against the technocrats who would turn America into a top-down autocratic state that rewards the rich and powerful while leaving the rest of us to fend for ourselves. Help us make America a democracy again. Onward.
Ah, there it is.
Well, he already said that in the beginning. Or not the beginning, before I paused.
So you spoke to Vladimir Putin not too long ago. Did you talk to him about
today?
Did you talk to him about progress in the space area, and what else did you talk
I didn't talk about space. No, I talked about Ukraine, and I talked a little bit about Iran. I talked about a few different subjects, mostly about Ukraine, and we had a very good conversation. I think we're going to come up with a solution relatively quickly, I hope.
What does he want?
I think you'd like to see a solution, I can tell you, and that's good.
What involvement does he want to have in the Iran situation?
He told me he'd like to be involved with the enrichment if he can help us get it. I said I'd much rather have you be involved with ending the war with you.
What?
I just got a warning from John Curtin. He goes, "How can you think about a future in space when the present situation on Earth should command your full attention? You have transgressed John Curtin's agenda. Flat Earther."
Okay. Guess what was blocking it? All right, join this now. Guess what was blocking it? Why I couldn't share my screen.
No idea. Could be
So
literally
Restream
anything.
actually helped.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I followed their common problems, and it was ad blocker. I turned off the ad blocker, and then I was able to share.
Crazy. Who'd have thought that?
Ukraine, to me, that would be more important because we're gonna have that. Look, we're not gonna let Iran have a nuclear weapon, and we've knocked out their navy, we've knocked out their air force, we've knocked out their anti-aircraft, everything, apparatus, everything they have, their radar. They have very little left, and they have some missiles, a small percentage. They have a small percentage of missile-making facilities. We knocked out about 80% of them. The rest could come very quickly if we don't make a deal. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They know it, and just about everybody else does. And so we talked about that a little bit. He doesn't want to see them have a nuclear weapon either. But I had a long talk with President Putin. I suggested a little bit of a ceasefire, and I think he might do that. He might announce something having to do with that. Did he announce it yet?
No, but I was wondering, I was just going to ask you.
No, I asked him about even if it's a little ceasefire, there's so many people being killed. It's so ridiculous.
Just a little tiny one.
Be sure
Please,
to like
Vladdy,
and
just the
subscribe
tip.
for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows.
Mentioned the war in Iran. According to the reports, and I don't know, they're so hateful and evil that they could possibly
I don't think he knows
attack
much.
us with a nuclear weapon.
Iran was our friend, and so we had a lot of good
Iran
relationships
was our friend. I saw this, and I said, we gotta fucking check out Jesse Lee Peterson.
I haven't watched
The
him for a
video is
minute
called
now.
We Created Iran.
I mean, maybe we could look into Mossadegh after this. Because I did want to do that.
Well, I texted you. It's very difficult because
I saw British no openness. I kind of want
just
to know if it
less
was
open.
directly tied to BP. I want to know whether BP is the reason that it happened. But I feel like that's kind of hard to prove. So I'm not really so sure that it'll be an easy thing to prove.
You know how when they put on the belt with the bombs on them, and just before they get ready to go off, they say Allahu Akbar? To deal with these people and get this settled, at least, if not forever, at least for a time. Would you call that a war, or would you call it taking care of business to protect the American people?
Well, what is the difference? If this is not war, then what is war? And so I want us to think. Let's think about Iran for just a moment. Back in the time when Jimmy Carter came into the presidency, Iran was our friend.
Absolutely.
They had
nothing.
the Shah of
Say it
Iran,
again.
Mohammed Pahlavi, I think his name was, and he was our friend. We had a lot of exchange students.
I think his name was, he says.
already off to a bad start. This
I
guy
agree.
has Washington and Lincoln behind him, so I'm going to guess that this is more of an American historian guy. Constitutionalist type guy.
Yes.
Are you in here?
Not yet.
Oh. Hurry up.
He wanted to westernize. He wanted to modernize Iran, and so we had a lot of good relationships with Iran. But the left, including the Ted Kennedys of the world, Jimmy Carter now comes to be the president. They were left was they were continually haranguing about how bad the human rights were in Iran. So that's how the left continues to, once again, stoke the excitement of the people here. Well, they're
Epic. Okay, the Shah was not a friend. Okay,
He was.
our outro clearly states he's an uncertain ally. Okay, like we have better friendship with fucking Israel.
Mm.
You in here yet?
Literally. Not yet. Why can't I heal that?
You're being a bad egg.
I am warring with literally everybody.
Okay, tell it to the judge.
They keep
Nope. Bad
they
egg.
keep waging war on me.
Well,
Fucking
you can deal with it later. Bad egg.
play the video.
No, I can't. Not until you stop being a bad egg. Anyway, I love this blaming the Iranian Revolution on the left instead of fucking France.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, also, I was gonna say in the video that you're proofing, I need you to look at it with your eyes because, for some reason, the local cameras don't have it flipped. So whenever there's a close-up, I had to make sure to flip, and I might have missed some of those flips. But also, there's a lot of visual references, and that's why this one took so long.
I was watching and listening. It's fine.
Okay, I think I got them all.
I literally stopped and zoomed in on all the little additions that you put in.
Because you're watching on your phone?
Yeah.
See, that's what worries me. Is just like I don't want people to have to zoom in because they're on their phone.
I mean, that's what's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
If you're on your phone, like you. But it does have the ability to zoom in, so YouTube's good like that.
What about Spotify?
I'm not sure if you can zoom in on Spotify, to be honest.
Dude didn't even know. Dude is like, I think his name was, and now he's blaming the revolution on the left wing for pointing out human rights abuses in Iran. Because libs were pointing out the human rights abuses in Iran, it allowed the revolution. What? You know, the people in Iran needed to overthrow the government themselves, right? They had to be oppressed enough for it to happen. And probably the only reason why it was able to happen is because the Shah was dying anyway.
Yeah.
Which is why we shouldn't have killed the Ayatollah. We want him in that sweet spot where he's on his deathbed and won't give the command to kill people.
Exactly. And this is what I was trying to explain to someone the other day, is that, like, the regime is literally America's fault. Like, we can't ignore that. And realistically, if he was to die, something could have happened. Now it's just reinforcing the regime and has made it even stronger, and now the Iranian people are even further from their century-long fight for democracy.
What I think, it's not the ideal or best solution, but what I think is the easiest way to get it done is get the military to turn.
Yes. And
I mean,
not
that's how coups
the
happen.
IRGC, the regular military.
Yes, that's
Like
exactly.
because I want to make sure people are aware that there are two different ones.
If a competent warmonger was in charge, right? Not Pete Hegseth and all these fucking morons, then they could strategically pick the IRGC assets and cripple the IRGC.
Instead, they just blow billions in dumb fucking carpet bombing campaigns like it's Iraq.
Which isn't going to turn the military. It's going to make them
solidify
more ingrained.
Make the regular army of conscripts even more loyal to the regime. Making it even harder for the Iranian people. Absurdity. For it is from the back of your stallion.
They're not honoring human rights over there because they have a Muslim society and this is how they operate, and they don't allow the women to do such and such, and so. But at that time they were more moderate, and Mohammed Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, was.
I love Jesse Lee Peterson platforming this "gotta help women" solution when he doesn't think women should be pilots or vote or do anything.
Was our friend. Well, what happened? So I would encourage everyone to get this book. It's by Hussein Nahavandi. Nahavandi wrote.
So I log into Twitter and there's a message from our friend in Perth. And she sends this. Maybe I have to add it because I'm Gwist. This one adds this. You know, we don't even need the Qataris to bribe our politicians. We have our own mining cunts to bribe our politicians. But now, you know, $1 million is nothing to Gina Reinhardt, right? So I saw another thing from the same people who booed Anzac Day, who went to March for Australia, who are neo-Nazis. I completely forgot my point. Hold on. I'm going to recover it. I need to hear what I was saying. 1 second. See if that comes. Hey, it comes up. Nice. Yes. Okay. So all of these guys came out and started posting about how Gina Reinhardt is actually not an evil cunt because she donated $200 million to like homeless veterans or some shit. And I'm sitting here like, okay, $200 million chump change to this woman. She didn't give a shit. She's spending $100 million to keep her kids from getting any money. I don't think she gives a fuck about $200 million. Now, the most interesting part about this is that it also comes on the tail of Gina Reinhardt, Advance Australia, and One Nation all pushing towards this Ben Roberts-Smith shit, which Gina Reinhardt is inherently tied to because she is the one that bankrolled his attempt to silence journalism, because let's be real, that is what defamation cases are in Australia when it's rich people against the media. It is always silence. They always want the silence. They lodge defamation cases because it's easy to do and you have to respond. There is like historical precedent for defamation cases not being legitimate, being a tool of lawfare for the rich. And that's exactly what we've seen here. So Gina Reinhart, on top of backing Advance, a MAGA-aligned anti-immigration lobby group, backed by her, apparently Kerry Packer, or Terry Pack, whatever, fucking owns a casino, typical scum piece of shit. She is actively lobbying in the government and in the bed with the Liberal Party as well. She's jumped ship to be in bed with One Nation, and now she's bribing One Nation with private planes so that Pauline Hanson can't be criticized for taking bribed flights from fucking Gina Reinhart anymore. Now she doesn't need to fly her around because she bought her a jet. Honestly, like, the fact that people cannot see this happening is mind-blowing. It's out-and-out corruption for a person who isn't even in government yet. Well, controlled government anyway. So, like... $2 million donations from Angus and Sarah Aitken, Adam Giles, and Ian Plummer. Adam Giles is another one of these names that keeps coming up in relation to Pauline Hanson. He's another person who seems to be flying her around to all of her destinations. Adam Giles is the former Chief Minister of the Northern Territory, former country Liberal Party leader. What does he do now? 2013, Port of Darwin. Country Liberal-controlled Northern Territory government granted the Chinese-owned Landbridge Company in 19... Wow. This guy gave China the lease to the Port of Darwin. Concern had been expressed over this arrangement due to its strategic significance. Landbridge being owned by a billionaire with close ties to the Chinese Communist Party and the port being adjacent to facilities in active use by both Australian and US military forces. Man, this guy seems like a dickhead. Giles conducted an interview with Blair Cottrell, chairman for the United Patriots Front, a Nazi group. Following a public outcry